Women are more compassionate, empathetic, considerate, sensitive. I want to say men are also compassionate. So the difference is the way the compassion tends to be expressed. So this is more for women and personality traits now in my reflections here. On a whole, due to the nurturing aspect of women, as shown towards infants especially, this trait seems to be more feminine. However, since Jesus himself often felt compassion to those oppressed, sick, or in need, we need to imitate Jesus even as men to be compassionate. For women being more perceptive than men, the aspect of perception is on consideration on the emotional and interpersonal needs. Men are more perceptive on objects, goals, data, concepts, goals, fulfill these goals, but women are more considerate in interpersonal and emotional needs, typically. Gentleness and tenderness. This accords well to women in caring for infants, as well as their higher trait agreeableness in society. They're more in tune to emotional interpersonal realities. Being hospitable. Okay. Although unpopular to promote, the Bible does give an indication of an emphasis in homemaking and hospitality for women to create a place in the home, a place in the home for comfort, food, and shelter, to welcome strangers and friends, to feel at ease at home. This trait also accords with women's psychological higher trait in orderliness in general, but you can see this in the home. Women tend to emphasize more orderliness in their life, and this applies in the home, and so this makes sense that the Bible gives this kind of emphasis, even though men should be hospitable as well, but this emphasis. A woman I really admire, Rosaria Butterfield, you can kind of Google her, but she wrote a great book on hospitality, and as a woman, it's called The Gospel Comes with a House Key, and I commend that book to you. Women are more emotionally vulnerable, expressive, genuine, and sincere. I think this is actually true, given that women are more in tune of their emotions, and they're more willing to express their emotions in interpersonal relationships. Men are less. Men are also lower in agreeableness. So in a social setting, men tend to assert their opinion and say their opinion and interrupt people more, like me, in a public setting. But men will tend not to express their personal feelings in a public setting, maybe not even with their wife. It's harder. So in that sense, women are more genuine in their feelings. The American Psychological Association wrote a document, I think 2018, 2019, asserting that men need to address and acknowledge and express emotions other than anger, emotions like sadness. I think that's a good thing. I think that's one thing that men should work on, and men should learn from women. Although I would say that because life is hard, and in most of human history, life has been hard, we should also acknowledge that the psychological trait for men for ruggedness, forbearance, pushing through in order to take responsibility for the women in their life. We should acknowledge both. Men should express these emotions, acknowledge them, but also acknowledge that sometimes they just need to bear with it and take responsibility for their home. Women are graceful, charming, and delicate. I like this trait. I think this is true because it connotes beauty, delicacy, and womanly tact. I would describe a woman figure skater as graceful. Male skaters are participating in graceful acts, but even in men's attire, it doesn't communicate the sense of gracefulness. This is just my reflection. For men skating, I think of hockey. That's not graceful. That's not delicate at all.